Hi, Patreon friends. This is the first of many guitar lesson videos that we'll be offering. The first one we're doing is BMX Bandits. It was requested by Simon Hill, our friend from England. And okay, let's get started. So it's in the key of B. That's the first most important thing, which is at the 7th fret bar chord. Okay, so we play it pretty fast, and it's got a lot of downstroke, which is a sort of old school hardcore technique that I never really mastered, to be perfectly honest. But it kind of goes like this. So it's like it starts off with a bash. We count it in 1, 2, 3, 4. So that sort of upstroke thing that I do on the open strings is a B with the sustaining E and B string open. So, right? And I go. Right? And that's the intro. So that's that part, sort of like full force downward, lots of energy. We try to play it too fast all the time. Sometimes it gets away from us. And that sucks, but most of the time we ride it sort of right on the knife edge, and it feels really good and exciting. So you do that downstroke for that reason. Then into the verse. Over and under the light, love with the suicide. Here we fuck with disaster, careful of something too high. So come get this trick or try, push it faster, you bastard, and over this mountain you play pre-chorus. Okay, so what I'm doing there is I'm kind of like arpeggiating a basic, it's a B chord again. There's only 2 chords in this song so far to this point. And I come back off of this sort of like more like rough sounding, hard, bassy B chord into the sort of finer sounding, cleaner one. And that is, so I'm opening the A string there. So on the first one it's just B at the 2nd fret and 4th, so as opposed to, which are the same chord but in different places, and it matters because it makes the amp sound a lot differently. So the cleaner version in the verse goes with an open A with the E flat on the D string there. I don't know if you can see. That's the 2nd chord, so that's the pre-chorus and the verse all in one sort of go. So when you're in the verse mode, it's a lot more sort of dark sounding and pentatonic, I guess. I don't know if I'm using that word correctly, but you're going from the B to the A flat to the G to the F sharp, right? F sharp. If it's the key of B, I don't know. Is it ever G flat? This is one of the questions for all time, I guess. So we'll skip the question for all time and just get on to how it goes. It goes like this. And you're using that fretted G string at the 4th fret as the repeating sort of sustaining B note that brings you back to the key of the song. So you're going. Pre-chorus, low E. So maybe you can watch that and garner it. The truth is, as a guitar teacher, I don't know the notes that I'm playing because most of the time I'm singing at the same time, so I'm not paying attention to that. What I understand it as is like geometric shapes of your hand. That's how I remember it. So it's, for me, it's like, over and under we ride, low with the suicide, here we fuck with disaster, and careful of something too high, so come give this trick a try, push it faster you bastard, and over this mountain you glide, no you're not gonna last if you can't push it back. That's when you go into the chorus. Right back up to the intro chord, which is the B again, at the 7th fret bar chord with the sustaining open E and B strings. So then we're into another territory. So then we're into the chorus, which is... This chorus is made of simple parts, but they complicate each time. So, so this sort of chord progression is your basic sort of like Boston or Rush chord progression. Those 4 chords, also known as the punk rock T, in some circles of younger people. But I complicate it. The first way that it complicates is that it starts up on the 7th fret at the bar chord, the full bar chord. So what you're losing is you're losing the certain amount of the geometric shape that you're playing. You're no longer playing a T. T. It's always a T. But I'm starting it up here. It's the same thing musically, so to speak, but I believe it does matter where you play it on the fretboard because it intonates differently and kind of the force of rock through guitar amps and stuff. It makes things sound very different. Back in Black, for example, is, you know, we all know that, but, and that's the way it should be played, is with the open sort of nun chords. But if you play it, you know, doesn't really quite have the sort of blasting sound. So that's the point. The point is that where you play the B kind of does matter. Chris Bourne, for example, figured this song out when he was a young kid on his own, and he intuited that the B should be played up here as opposed to here, where it is technically closer to the rest of the progression. So, back to the chorus. Okay, so the first part of the chorus has this progression. Nicole, since you got it, out of black to one diamond back. That shame so racing, man, I wish I had one like that. That's the first version. Then the second complication of the same set of chords in different order is Nicole, stole my soul. Did I just screw up the lyrics? I did. No? Yeah. Nicole, you stole my soul. What you cute little bunny, huh? Right up the tabletop, girl, I wish you would never stop. So the first one. Right? Second one. Third one. 3 different versions of the same set of chords, just played in different order, so that they offer a bit of a sort of different emotional narrative. In my opinion, it makes you feel sort of confident, and then not so confident, and then scared, and then back to confident again, which is a lot like how it is to ride a BMX bike, when you're sort of challenging yourself and on jumps and things, and you kind of like, you go, whoa, for a second, and then you're like, oh, okay, I got this, and then you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna die, and then you're back to being confident again. And that's sort of like also in relationships. I don't know, maybe this isn't part of the guitar lesson, but I'm saying that that's how it's played for a reason. Sweetest one is at the end, and that's how the chorus ends, on the cherry on top sort of sweet thing. Anyway, so then we're into verse again. Well, we're into instrumental interlude. So restart the song, back to the downstroke, verse. Same thing as last time. We went over this already. chorus 2 is different. It's longer. So, we go like this. And you call such a guys, I'd like to know but GMC racing back then, I wish I had one like that. You call, you stole my soul, but you cute little buddy. I'm a radical tabletop pro, I wish you would never stop. You call, you got the small like a Hutchins are up on the list. On the skyways, the game, fixed walkie-talkies and stolen shit. They call, wide angle, PK, river, webco, and manga, search for life, paralysis, meaning in the mirror, so that this is I was only 10 years old. So, you'll note that as a singer, there are times when I mute the strings with my palm, sort of like old school heavy metal technique, so that the diction can have a space to breathe and then open up the guitar again. So, hey Nicole, what you got us out of black. So it's like you mute the guitar a bit, draw it back so that you can hear the vocal. Anyway, that's another thing. So, that chorus is twice as long. It simply starts over in the middle instead of going to the final bit, which is the I was only 10 years old. It doesn't go to that on the third run. On the third run, it starts over. So, what would you call that? 1.5 choruses, or 1.25 chorus, 1.33? So out of that, we go back into the instrumental. Then we go into this solo. So that's sort of like crescendo, lifting it up. Where's it going to go? I liken it to the metaphor of when you're trying on a bicycle to get as fast as you can so that you can jump as far as you can and clear the landing ramp and then kind of land smoothly, which is how I like to do it, but can be dangerous if you're not moving the right speed and you don't know what you're doing. So when we play the song too fast, the metaphor is expanded. And that little solo is sort of me and Leo kind of locking up, everyone trying to kind of follow us, and just like really intense and sort of sharp, not sharp pitch-wise, but sharply played, clean chunk notes. So. So then we have a verse that's effectively played full out, full on distortion, full on everything. The other two verses are played in the heel position in clean sound style. If you're an amp switcher person and you have your guitar plugged into 2 amplifiers that are split off of an ABY pedal, for instance, the crunchy one is in the choruses, the clean one is in the verses. This is a sort of like ancient Rush probably invented it or something like that. Hendrix did it too. He rolled back the volume on his guitar and made it clean and then pushed the amp harder with the full volume. Anyway, the point is that the dynamics are built into our digital systems. On the acoustic guitar, you're doing it as a function of the way you play. Harder, softer, more intense, less intense. To get the clean notes in the build-up chorus, or rather solo, I should say, I actually play it lighter. So now softer. So I played that really soft so that I could play it clean. And during this part of this sort of third verse that's played full on, I add quite a few notes. So does everybody. Everybody kind of adds a few notes in that section. It's kind of like just improv-y, I guess you could call it. We're just trying to groove each other a little bit harder, and it wind up being a few more notes. So instead of... it's played more like... is there love in your life? 'Cause I wanna be your wife. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a bicycle up in the sky. You didn't say you goodbye. Now I know where I stand, and I'm tired of life on the ground. Lose my soul and I'm down. I'm your red by a pound. Now you hear I was adding some dissonance there with the D. That D note gets in there sometimes, the open D. That's not really on the recording, but we've adopted it after the fact because it's like dissonant and a little bit wild. Okay, so the bridge from the top.
Is there a love in your life? 'Cause I wanna be your wife. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's a bicycle up in the sky. You didn't say you could fly. Now I know where I stand, and I'm tired of life on the ground. Lose my soul when I'm down. I'm bam, bam, bam.
Hey Nicole,
It's you guys that I've been too. I'm back at reaching MC racing park, and I wish I had one like that. Nicole, you stole my soul, but you cute little bunny. I'm radical tabletop, well, I wish you would never stop. Nicole, you got this motor, look at how you get your list on the skyways of beam, fish, rocky talkies, and stolen shit. Nicole, riding on Pico River, we're going moments for life, all right, is winging it, but on your head, so it's Nicole, oh, wow, so neat, 7 years old.
Now, of course, live we were a little bit more melodramatic with that ending. Anyway, that's it. That's BMX Bandits. Guitar lesson, number 1. Thanks, Simon.